Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. We are diving straight into match number 2 of the night here in Playday number 2, APAC South. There's a lot to get through for this one because, Dev, let's be perfectly honest, Chiefs and Elevate, two big teams going head-to-head, but certainly haven't had the starter that we had hoped for.
Yep, that is definitely true. If you look at a team like Elevate, these guys were first place in the entire of APAC, taking down Cloud9 in a convincing 2-0 in the stage championship, going up against Knights in their first game. They even started strong, and they were swept back again. Chiefs, on the other hand, had a strong stage 1 in APAC South, and an even stronger one in OCN. They actually were the OCN champions, but like you say, a loss for both of these teams in Playday 1 certainly sets a precedent. Only one of these teams is going to cop their first win of the season today.
That's crazy. That is absolutely absurd to think that these two teams have really started off in the fashion. I guess more so for Chiefs' perspective. That's probably where we really look to and say, what on earth was that first game that we saw from them? Well, guess what? They're going to have an opportunity to back it up here, Panda. A roster that by no means you can scoff at.
Yeah, look, it's easy to say last week, Chiefs were their own worst enemy. They were just making consistent mistakes in terms of coordination and approach to the map. Q-Confirm being able to capitalize on as many rounds as they did was huge. This is going to be a tough match. They want to bounce back. Having talked to them, they are determined to prove that it was just a one-off thing here. And they're a team that has consistently proved that they should be one of the top in the region.
They certainly are. One that we really do consider to be the top in the region is Elevate, the team that they will be going toe-to-toe with in the server here, Dev. I mean, does the roster speak for itself?
Honestly, it does. You look at players like Napew, Onigiri, they are just absolutely insane in terms of players who are cracked and will just pull off the most ridiculous stuff we've ever seen. Yeah, these are the guys, the names that will be on the tip of your lips. Onigiri last week playing Consulate against Knights, arguably one of the other best teams in APAC, and he's just jumping out every which window with Aruni DMR and spawn peeking every single round. He is absolutely ridiculous. Also a bit of a sweetheart when it comes to his interviews. So if he wins today, we will get that. But yes, I mean, this team is just really the one to watch out for, and not just APAC South, but all of APAC. They have such a unique play style. They love that aggression. They love to play it like it's just their siege. They're not trying to conform. They are trying to cut out their own identity for themselves.
And I think they have done so. I'll be, completely blunt and brutal here. I think that stage 1, they really carved their name, not just into APAC, but into the wider siege community. I think that they're now, we think back to the teams of past that, they had the rosters and the kind of qualifiers or even tournaments that we've seen them play in. They've never performed to this level, and now we're seeing them kind of, let's say, step into their own. Just a general, just before we get into the actual veto, Dev, what are we thinking? Where are we most likely to head?
Well, I can tell you where Chiefs would want to go, and that's Clubhouse, but it's also a very strong map for Elevate. Yep. So I think that wherever we go, I'll have a lot to say at that point. But what I do know for certain is that both of these teams really need this win. Chiefs not only lost their first game, but they lost in a ridiculous 7-1 to Q-Confirm, a team they 7-0'd last stage. And Elevate lost to Knights in 5-7, which means they didn't even cop a point. So both of these teams certainly have a lot to prove.
All right, let's dive into it and have a look, Panda, once we see these vetoes. I'm going to give it to you first and tell me the opening. Oh my God, we're going there again. My goodness, we just can't get away from the sunny coast.
Look, last week we saw an Elevate who was not shy when it came to playing a very aggressive defense. 6 of their defense rounds they were playing at 1, if not 2 spawn peaks, plus the runouts that we saw. 4 of those rounds they were actually successful in fighting those frags. On a map like Consulate, that works. On a map like Coastline, that works. So this could be a little bit concerning if you're a Chiefs fan. The case was last week, Knights were able to weather the storm and then bounce back from that point. Clearly, Chiefs were not able to, going down 7-1. Hopefully, coming into this week, they could prove, it was a one-off thing. They need to be able to play their games, slow it down. Don't let Elevate play off of that aggression that they're so desperately looking for. Yeah. And that's when they need to pick up the rounds.
Is this a map that Chiefs will be able to weather the storm on, Dev? Do you think they can hold out against a roster like Elevate?
It's possible. Like, we've seen them beat Order on this map before, 7-3 last season. But we've also seen Chiefs lose this to Knights in OCN and Order in OCN as well. And I think if you're taking Elevate, some of the best fraggers in not just the region of APAC, but in the world, you're taking them to a frag-heavy map, you better be ready. And look, I don't think Chiefs will go down without a fight, that's for sure.
Now, Panda, do you have a win condition for this matchup? I know you're saying that they need to weather this storm. Is there anything in particular that you'd probably point out to?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that becomes very, very evident if you're a fan of OCN as well, having the cams, and you can see that Chiefs is a hugely momentum-based team. If they're winning, they are just going to keep on rolling to that victory. So they need to light that fire early. They need to get a couple of key rounds under the belt, and that's when they just absolutely start to shine. So pick up 2-3 rounds to start things off, and then just ride it through to finish.
Dev?
Yeah, honestly, I really, for Chiefs' sake, I hope that the line stays in. I think that they'll definitely use that. If it does stay in, might be able to contain the Elevate guys a little bit, but you know, Elevate are a very aggressive team. They like to ban that Nomad. They like to really just play aggressively on flanks and spawn picks and runouts. So I think that it's going to be telling at the start of this game as how Chiefs can actually deal with that, and whether they can, you know, I guess stem the bleeding that Elevate will inevitably put them onto.
Now, Dev has gone for the Chiefs here. That's the predictions prior to, of course, the veto. Panda, I'm going to ask you specifically, who are you looking for? Are you? I mean, it seems like you're leaning more to the playstyle of Elevate. You're still going to double in on that?
Look, as much as on paper I would say Elevate, you got to back your local. Up the Kiwis, we've got one of them in the Chiefs, so you got to represent, you got to back the boys. I'm with Chiefs all in today.
Okay, and for those of you at home, a Kiwi is like a New Zealander. A New Zealander is basically like a broken part from Australia. It's like somewhere all the way down
less
in
criminally
the ocean.
Inclined, yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Just offending everyone right now from New Zealand in the chat. I'm sorry, guys.
All five of us, yeah.
We had to.
Self-burn, those are rare.
The self-burns are few and far between, or maybe they're too common here. But we're going to finish this up here. We're going to throw a cross, sorry, I should say, to the two gentlemen that are dressed in their grandmother's tablecloth. Enjoy.
A crow, a bow. I'm not sure exactly what you're throwing my way, Manny, but thank you very much for that little segment. Big game coming up, Chiefs and Elevate. A little bit of a rivalry here as well. Guys, of course, when we remember the fact that Chiefs used to be part of the Elevate organization, but in terms of, I guess, the players, maybe not so much of a rivalry. Coastline is where we're heading again. Nice. I'm excited for this because it might give us some answers a little bit here into what has become the defensive meta. Is it going to be a repeat of 7th Heaven and QC, or will we see the attack prevail once again?
Well, we did hear the desk talk about burns a little bit, and I probably should have put my sunscreen on because, as you mentioned, we're going back to Coastline, and being a pasty white boy like me, I'm probably going to get burnt. But jokes aside, as you mentioned, this should be a really, really exciting matchup. Both of these teams are yet to win. One of these will be victorious at the end of the day. The Chiefs were very sloppy last week. They didn't do very well on Shelly, really struggling in their attacks, clearing utility, etc. Whereas Elevate, they got bested by the Knights, who are really positioned themselves nicely to finish first in the league. Keep in mind, we could see an incredibly close season. It could well come down to that game, even if Elevate win all their matches from here on out. But again, we just don't know how volatile the season is going to be. And again, keeping in mind, if this is your first time watching APAC, actually recently the Mexico Major was announced. The team that finishes first in the regular season of both APAC North and APAC South get their tickets straight away punched in for that event. So really critical that Elevate continue to step up and try to make up for that mistake in the first Playday.
Well, mistake. I mean, they lost to Knights 7-5. I don't know if
yeah, maybe not a mistake. Maybe just falling short a little bit. Maybe a mistake was a little bit too harsh, but you get what I mean. At the end of the day, they might see it as a mistake. I don't know how they're viewing that.
I think right now the way I look at it is Elevate now going to every single Playday as favorites from here on out. This could actually be considered one of their tougher matches. So what a start, right? Knights and then Chiefs for the first two Playdays. A tough start for Elevate, but from there you then expect them to be clear favorites in all their remaining games. So if they can knock off the Chiefs here, get back into the winners list, they should have a pretty breezy run home. But you do drop this game, and suddenly you're 0-2 with 5 games to go. You look vulnerable. Orders then after that, and then you've got 7th Heaven. Basically every team in APAC South can probably beat every team, right? If you're not on your game, you're going to lose. So you need to be bringing your A game. both these two teams are going to need to do that. We've spoken about Elevate, but also Chiefs are probably in the same boat, right? They were a 1-7 loss in Playday 1 against Q Confirmed. That was on Chalet, and that was honestly a little bit disappointing from the Chiefs. I expected more from them going into that game, and they did not deliver. It was Q Confirmed's defense that really set the tone. That was a 5-1 first half. Chiefs never looked like getting back into it, and of course they didn't. And I think that's where I'm now looking here for Coastline. We saw 7th Heaven and QC. Defense reigned supreme. Elevate on the defense first. If Chiefs get off to a slow start, that could be their downfall if they can also not have a strong defensive half.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, we did, of course, see the bans come through, line taken off the board, and that means the Chiefs cannot bring it on their attack. They'll be relying on the Nomad for that flank watch, and with the E1Ds not on the table, it may make their drone information a little less effective. Again, we'll have to wait and see. We also saw quite notably on Agiri in the chat, a little bit dissatisfied to see that Mozzie was taken off the board. The Pepe Sads were in the chat. Unfortunate for him, he often pops off with that operator, but that's the stage that has been set. Lions of Fear, Mozzie, and Valk taken down.
Yeah, a bit of a weird op ban phase. I mean, Lion makes sense since Worthy slaps with it on this map, but, you know, Elevate usually ban Nomad, so, you know, it's a bit of a weird one overall. Totally not stolen. 100% my own analysis there.
Why did Dev type that in our Discord about 2 minutes ago and you just said it? Are you
it's a
copying
strange,
his homework?
read my mind, but
I
the
don't know about
Chiefs
that.
on the attack, we saw obviously in the last match, and this is the beauty of having, I guess, two coastlines back to back, right? You can kind of look at some similarities between the way teams approach it. We saw a pretty healthy amount of engagement early on between 7th Heaven and QC. Now, I probably think that's just those two teams and their nature, more so than even Coastline. But there was a lot of fighting, guys. I mean, by about the minute-and-a-half mark, it was usually a 3v3 most rounds.
Wall's been butchered up here by the defense. Elevate with lines of sight all the way across from Billiards in towards the bedroom. And we can see the Frost actually on a Geary with a deployable shield on the Billiards table. That's an interesting setup. But elsewhere, Sapper finds the opener. That's God Legion taken down. Worthy on the Nomad to trade that back. It's a 4v4. DCH has been downed, however, and I don't think Elevate will be in a great position to pick that mirror back up. I assume he's down in theater, and the Chiefs should have that locked down.
And kind of similar, I guess, now in nature to the previous match. 4 versus 4, minute 15 seconds remaining. Also, obviously, DCH down technically to 4 versus 3. Get into technicalities here, but that doesn't mean too much for Elevate. We already saw it in the last match where, you know, lots of 2v1s or 3v2s or even 3v1s at times, if you're Producer Boom, have been overcome. Oh. Nice shot from Onigiri. He make it a second one and does clean. 2 kills from Onigiri, and that's Elevate with an advantage 4 versus 2.
The 9mm can just be such a laser, and Onigiri with that setup, catching the Chiefs off guard. God Legion, though, does eventually finish off DCH, but that is a pick that, of course, was down for quite some time. Fisho and Worthy left to try and bring this one back. They have 30 seconds to work with. A few drones as well still available that could be used to gain intel, but at this point, they just need to try and trade things out. Fisho checks for a match, jumps in, goes for the closet, finds the pick! Eventually, Angry X is dropped. Onigiri and Sapper now try to make their way back towards the site. Fisho can lock down 1, and Sapper just caught sleeping. And now Onigiri needs to find 4 to win the round.
4?
Total.
Right, yeah, that makes a bit more sense. Still, diffuser goes down. Can't find any.
Come on, man, what are you doing?
Can't find
I set it up
But he
perfectly.
couldn't find any. Right, he could not find any. Chiefs turning this one around. 2 versus 4 was, in fact, the player count at one stage, guys. Elevate could not convert from their advantage. Well played to the Chiefs. They really adjusted well there, actually, in the end. With about 30 seconds to go, we saw a Fisho guy give up on service, goes over to the kitchen window, hops in. I don't know how they're allowed to just, like, hop in through the window like that without any repercussions, but it happened. And full credit to the Chiefs. They adjusted perfectly at the end.
Yeah, really well played there in the dying seconds. It was a little bit iffy there from Elevate, particularly in the late round. The early to mid was quite strong. They wasted quite a bit of time. DCH, unknown whether Chiefs knew he was downed or not, but it seemed to stall out that take, as well as, of course, Onigiri and Billiards with a really interesting setup. The long angle looking all the way in towards bedroom from Billiards was quite peculiar, but did work out on that occasion. Defense will reattempt that, however, though. Elevate looking to double down and see if they can correct those mistakes. as the Chiefs look to tidy things up a little bit. I don't think they'll be very happy with how the majority of that round played out. At the end of the day, it really was a lot of individual prowess to win that round.
I mean, you go down to a 2 versus 4. Obviously, you haven't done something too great. So the ironic thing is the Chiefs probably, as you said, themselves have plenty to rectify coming into this second round, but they've got the round win. And this kind of goes back to, again, I keep referencing it, and I'm going to keep doing it because we just had a Coastline, but the first 2 rounds were coin flips, right? And Coastline is a map that's going to bring up those sort of coin flip moments quite heavily because you get down to these scenarios where it's like 2v2 or 1v1, it's messy, and we're going to have teams win rounds that maybe they shouldn't have won. I mean, Elevate realistically should have been winning that prior round. They had 4 versus 2, they had site control, they had everything they had needed to have, and they even only had, there was only like, what, 20 to 30 seconds left on the clock. So, big win for the Chiefs. We'll see if they can find 2 in a row here as they themselves will look to just go one better here in this second round.
Onigiri setting up on the same side of the map. Did bring a bulletproof, of course, in towards site. So not playing behind the deployable shield. That would indicate to me he's likely going to play this a bit more passively and will fall off when required. It looks like the Chiefs spawning over towards Ruins are looking to try and take him down, or at least apply a lot more pressure than they did last time where they sort of let him be. That said, there hasn't quite been any meaningful gunfights just yet. Still just pressure being applied, angles being established, but no real results so far for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't quite get the player crossing. There is a trade elsewhere on the map. It's a 4 versus 4. Almost already seeing the similarities to the last round, guys, where it was about a minute 15, 4 versus 4. It's probably going to be, you know, minute and a half, 4 versus 4. Pretty similar. Another slow approach from the Chiefs. But hey, sometimes slow and steady wins the race. Gold Legion finds Angry X. And we're seeing the Chiefs actually playing that sort of cool, calm, collected approach here to Coastline, where they're not just running head first in and allowing Elevate to get easy picks. They're the ones finding the picks.
Bisho using his X-Kairos on the barricade there. Maybe he was trying to get the wall and the hitbox didn't quite go into his favor. Either way, though, there's no one actually playing that couch position, so it's all but superficial for the Chiefs. They drone it out. They'll know it's clear now, but that utility already being used. That said, still 8 X-Kairos left, and Fisho don't really need those elsewhere, I wouldn't imagine. Good change up here from Elevate. Napier watching the window intently. Does get droned out, but at least someone from Elevate is watching this jump in. Last time it was free real estate for the Chiefs, but this time Napier gets aggressive. Napier finds the kill, and the diffuser has been dropped. That is a massive pick from the Malusi.
Yeah, and a big difference. Obviously, they'll just quickly sideswipe. Vast will go to pick it up as soon as possible. There's only 28 seconds left, but even though it's a 3 versus 3, again, it's going to be chaotic. Now, in the prior round, Chiefs were able to get on site, get that diffuser down, and win out for 2 versus 4. But Vast, big pick onto Sapper. This time, it's Chiefs who actually have the advantage here. DCH needs to go big, can't make it happen. Digital turns around, slaps him in the face. It's a 3 versus 1. This time, the Chiefs not only going to win the round, but win it convincingly as Vast vaults over. And they are up 2-0 to start here on Coastline on their attack.
A lot more comfortable there from the Chiefs. Their early to mid round was more convincing. They found the trades as required, and yeah, they closed it out. Good form and a good bounce back from a pretty dodgy first round. That does give them the 2-0 lead, and Elevate need to be careful. They don't let this one slide. The last stage, Coast, I didn't see a whole lot of play, but in the 2 maps it was selected in the regular season, had a 55% defensive win rate. So we're expecting it, again, if the stats follow up between these two, to be quite close. Again, Elevate looking to not let it slip.
And in both of those 2 rounds that we've seen so far, it's been Elevate finding the opening picks. At around the same sort of time, minute and a half, minute 50. And both times, Elevate from there have not been able to go on and actually make anything of it. We're seeing the Chiefs responding, usually quite, vigorously. And the Chiefs' approach in their attack so far has been really good. It's been really fun to watch because they're not just playing like a team that's just rushing in without strategies. They've clearly got their strategies in mind. They're playing slow, methodical, not allowing Elevate to find free picks. and almost forcing Elevate to eventually fall back, just fear out of not having information as Chiefs are taking their time. And it's really good to watch, but Hookah Billiards is going to change things a little bit.
Aruni being brought here by the defense alongside the Jaeger as well will offer quite a bit of protection from the projectiles of the attack, keeping in mind there's a lot of them. 4 smokes, 4 nades. There's track stingers as well from Worthy, and that could prove to be a headache. I mean, we don't often see Gridlock selected in competitive Siege, so a nice little change up here. The Chiefs not wanting to stick the Nomad as they have previously, instead switching it up. And to be honest, the F90 is actually such a powerful primary weapon. Maybe the track stingers, some would argue, not as powerful as the Nomad air jabs, for example, but can be used in more interesting manners. You can sort of bounce them around, place them on the floor as they disperse, and
well, they cover area, right? Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. So the Gridlock's going to cover the area, the Nomad's going to cover a specific sort of entry. So it depends on what Chiefs have really got here planned. And this is the thing. The first 2 rounds, they've clearly had plans in how they wanted to execute. And, well, the first round was a little bit shaky. Second round was much better. And if they can continue to execute in the way that they have been in the first 2 rounds, well, round 3 is shaping up to maybe be a decent start here for the Chiefs. Recalling back, though, 7th Heaven got out to a 4-0 start, and then they lost it from there. So Chiefs need to keep this A game for as long as possible. Worthy opening pick onto Onigiri. Minute and a half. Good start here for the Chiefs in their 3rd round. Track stingers go out.
And that first pick was off the back of Vast finding those footprints with the Inox scanner. So again, really good roam clear from the Chiefs, playing off one another, and the information that they are gathering is being used. I mean, it's all well and good to bring the Jackal, but if you're not actually finding the players and hunting them down on the defense, then is it really that good of a pick? The Chiefs proving that it was on this occasion, and with a minute to go, they're starting to shape up for the execute. They have control of the double window, they have control of Aqua. They really just need to try and clear drinks, apply pressure to Hookah, and they should be able to convert.
Yeah, and those track stingers at the bottom of Cool Vibes makes it kind of difficult for Elevate to now push down and try and disrupt the Chiefs from below. God Legion and Fisher now pushing in through Aqua. Fisher guy is going to go in for the plant now. Default plant, smokes up, so this is pretty good right now from the Chiefs. He did actually get stopped, so he has to re-stick it. Digital bound to kill onto Napier. It's all going to plan, though, for the Chiefs. Digital did get the kill, does go down for it, but they've got the plant down. They can now evacuate successfully, and now Elevate are in a retake scenario as Angry X does eventually finish off Digital, who was already down. 30 seconds on the clock, 4 versus 3.
Of course, takes 7 seconds to counter defuse, so that timer is ticking down fast, but look at the angles. They are just being absolutely shut down. Elevate unable to get back in towards the site, and the Chiefs in the post plant hold firm.
And this is what I wanted to see out of Coastline off the back of our previous match, where it was very much defend-decided. Now it's so far all the attack. We haven't seen much defense from Elevate that has been quite significant in the way that we saw it from both Q-Confirm and 7th Heaven, who were very, very strong with their defensive game here on Coastline. But Elevate's has been a little bit weak. It's been a bit of a whimper. We haven't seen too much from them to suggest that they're going to be able to stop the Chiefs right now, because that first round, yeah, it was kind of close, guys. Should Elevate have won it? Probably. But a lot of it came down to the Chiefs not executing quite as well as they would have liked. They adjusted. They came back in round 2. They won that one cleanly. 3rd round, very standard sort of, Aqua push, default plant. They gained control down below. Track stingers blocking off Cool Vibes. It was just really well played overall from the Chiefs, and Elevate never really fired a shot.
Yeah, Elevate, I don't know if they're playing in their shells a little bit at the moment or what exactly is going wrong here for them, but it doesn't feel like we are watching the Elevate of Stage 1. Elevate were quite literally the stage champions for APAC. They were well above everyone else. They were absolutely insane, and we expected that form to likely continue here into Stage 2, but it has been a little bit of a slow start. They did lose last week, and as I mentioned earlier, every single play day, for all of these teams, of course, is critically important, but especially for the likes of Elevate, the Knights, etc., the favorites to finish up at the pointy end. They want to finish first and 100% confirm their tickets to the Mexico Major. That would be absolutely huge for them. Again, keeping in mind that by being the stage champs last stage, Elevate banked, I believe, 510 points, which is absolutely huge towards SI 2022. And those really start to add up. So Elevate need to be careful. Just let that, I guess, motivate them in the backs of their minds and just slowly get back into this matchup. They can look for an in. The Chiefs are not playing perfectly. Elevate just need to try and capitalize.
And I think right now, oh, hang on. Worthy surely finds the easiest kill. Yeah, he does. I was literally about to say, obviously, as we're repeating Hooker and Billiards, was that I think Elevate needed to maybe establish a little bit more defensive control down below. That is so cheeky from Worthy. Oh, we got 3! 1, 2, 3. They all fall down one by one. 3 for the round, 3-0, about to be 4-0. This is so dominant and clean from the Chiefs right now. They are playing, he's got 4! Go for the ace! Napier, the remaining player, and right now he is just fodder for Worthy, who's 8-1-1, looking for his 9th.
Let him get the ace. Let him get the ace. And he does. And he does.
Stop the count. This is a slaughter on Coastline right now. 4-0 to the Chiefs. And that's all good. And that's great, guys. As we take a bit of a pause here, let me remind everybody, of course, the last game, 7th Heaven, were up 4-0 as well. And they looked good doing it, guys. They looked good doing it. It was on the defense. We thought they're going to go and switch half. They're going to go to the attack, and it's going to be a stomp. Q Confirm brought it back. Elevate is a team worthy of the respect, no pun intended, that they...
Oh, that was bad.
All right. That they, of course, can get back into this game. They really, really can. But they need to be more aggressive. They need to get into the face of the Chiefs and remind them, hey, we're the champions, right? We're the stage champions. Everyone was saying, oh, APAC was weak at SI. APAC was weak. And we're kind of sitting back and going like, oh, Elevate didn't even go, though. Elevate's the best team in APAC, and they didn't even go. If Elevate had gone, they would have done this, this, and this. They need to show that now, right? And show what they're made of and bring that stage champion Elevate to this game. Otherwise, they're looking at a 0-2 start for APAC South.
It's not been a great start for Elevate, and there's a real chance that Raven actually loses his job on the desk. Of course, Blue Panda jumped on from New Zealand, and guess who's from New Zealand? From the Chiefs. It's Worthy. So, I mean, you add the numbers together, you connect the dots. It's as simple as that. Raven out, Blue Panda in, Worthy popping off. It's just an incredible sight to see, and Worthy, in all seriousness, traditionally has been a player that can be really, really scary. He can be super potent alongside God Legion, for example. And if both of those players step up, or I mean, Worthy's already stepped up, continue that great form and consistency throughout this map, Elevate have got to be careful, because not one of those gunfights did they look like they were going to win. Not a single one. Every single time Worthy was on top, he was winning that gunfight. So really dangerous.
Now, just quickly, some might be wondering why that tactical timeout from Elevate was so long. The Chiefs also took a tactical timeout immediately after. So we just had 2 tactical timeouts back to back. I'm not going to lie, a little bit surprised by the Chiefs taking their tactical timeout, but I'm not surprised that Elevate have taken theirs.
Maybe Worthy was just spending that 2 minutes just clipping the ace for Twitter. That could have been.
Chiefs have got their own social media. They would have done that. That's fine. We backed them in to do that. But we want to start here with the Chiefs. 4 attacking rounds. Now, prior to Stage 1 APAC South, guys, everyone would have been saying, why are they so excited? This is attacker-sided. This is normal. 4-2 half, you know, that's kind of what you would expect. But as we've seen in Stage 1 and even now in Stage 2, these sort of maps have been defender-sided in APAC South. And Elevate's defense is not really fired much of a shot. I mean, Onigiri is the only one really getting involved. 3 and 4. Everyone else only has 1, or if you're DCH, 0 kills. So they are not really getting involved here. This is a bit of a stomp in these first 4 rounds. In contrast, 7th Heaven and Q Confirm, which had some of those more coin flip kind of rounds. It was a little bit more back and forth.
And the concerning thing for me is Elevate seem to be throwing a lot of picks. We are seeing a lot of engagements where the Chiefs are just taking front-on gunfights and not seeing any retaliation. We've seen multiple occasions, Sapper, for example, he's looked asleep at the wheel almost, where he's getting caught off guard. We've seen that across a couple of these players, and of course, you know, they're not literally asleep at the wheel. Elevate are a fantastic team. Maybe that's just a testament to the way that the Chiefs are applying so much pressure to them. Elevate maybe a little bit discombobulated at the moment, trying to work out what's going on, trying to find their footing, I guess, in this matchup. They haven't been able to find that just yet, that confidence to lean into, and it does come across as a little bit shaky. So again, full props to Chiefs for putting the reigning champs under the pump, but Elevate, they need to try and step up, and we know that they can. So many of these players were fantastic in stage 1. I think they just need to get that one round on the board, and then they can go,
agree.
hey guys, we're in this.
Oh, quickly just jumps up and away from that nade. Yeah, I definitely agree. And momentum is so big. And we saw it in the last round as well, or in the last series. And Elevate's a team that can take that momentum and really ride that wave and get back into this. But it's about kind of replicating what Q Confirm was able to do. Those last 2 rounds in the half, when they were down 4-0, they adjusted. They won those 2 rounds. They gathered momentum going into the second half. And boy, did they run away with things. You know, remind you, it was 7 of the last 8 rounds after a 0-4 start. Elevate's going to have to sort of not necessarily replicate that, but get close to replicating that now if they are going to win this game. Get all 3 points, for instance. But right now, I don't think that they should be even worrying about 3 points. They should be worrying about getting 1 point because it's all the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs do make this 5-0, that's going to really set the tone going into the second half.
Round number 5 being quite slow. The Chiefs taking slow map control. They have a lot of drones to work with here, and they know what's clear and what isn't, but they are having some issues clearing out the hookah position. Now, I believe it's Angry X playing in the corner, and he's playing for his life. Don't expect him to stay alive here, just trying to waste as much time as possible. God Legion does fall elsewhere. That's 2 less nades available to the Chiefs, as they still try and... Above, do they know that hookah is occupied? This could be a big mistake from the Chiefs if Angry X does not go unpunished.
And it's good seeing Elevate playing this way. Although Vast finds Onigiri Angry X in this sort of position, looking to find a player of the Chiefs and get a pick, be aggressive, and to really throw the Chiefs' attack off here, which has worked. It's 4 versus 4. There's only 18 seconds left. They're running out of time here. And you kind of expect Angry X to at least get 1. If anyone makes a run for Cool Vibes, he's getting a kill. Cool Vibes is not the play right now. It's going to be the site. That's where Worthy finds yet another kill. 10-2-1. 4 seconds left. Fisher guy will have to stick it, but the Nitro Cell will stop him. Nate Pugh with a big C4. Worthy picks up the diffuser. He has to stick it. 2 seconds left. He gets denied. Elevate. Get one back. The one that they needed. And a very clean defensive round from them in the end because there wasn't much time for the Chiefs. Well played, Elevate.
It almost looked like the Chiefs were going to be able to hold on to that round. In the first instance of the plant, if that Nitro Cell had not been deployed by the defense, it probably would have been stuck. The player inside of lobby for Elevate didn't quite have the long angle through the blue bar wall to deny that plant. So again, another round of millimeters, and Elevate with their aggression able to retake confidently once all of their utility had been expended. And that's what we like to see from the Southeast Asians, some aggressive siege. That's what we love to see these lads bring into APAC South, and they do it right when it matters. Now they're in a position to try and bring back the half 4-2, and then they can start to think a little bit more about mounting this comeback. And as Blue sort of mentioned, or Panda, Blue Panda, Panda, whatever he wishes to be called, the legend himself did mention that the Chiefs can sometimes get in their heads a little bit. And if Elevate start to mount rounds, then we could really see that mental be tested.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit last week when they lost 7-1 to Q Confirm, where after a little while it just looked like they were out of it and they could never really respond, they could never really get back into it. This time they're on the other side of it, right? They're the ones up 4-1. And this is where they've got to have the mental ferocity to actually put the foot on the throat and go for the kill here. Because Elevate are bleeding, right? They're vulnerable. They're down 4-1. You get 1 more attacking round in the half. Make it a 5-1 half here on Coastline. Go over to your defense and finish the job. Because that's really the mentality that they need to have now and to employ is that they're the big dogs here. They're going to get the first win of the season. Elevate's going to go 0-2. Regardless of stage champions or any of that business, Chiefs need to back themselves in to finish this off. Because if they don't, boy, is it going to ruin, because they'll be 0-2 on the season, and you allow Elevate to get a win, right? It's just double. Worthy, though, has just been on another level against not only his teammates, but against Elevate.
There's a sense of deja vu. Once again, a player running in towards red bar late, and Worthy already there. I assume off the back of a pre-placed drone is taking that for free. Finds not only the free ground, but also the frag as well. Now, it was traded back. Fisho taken down does limit the hard breach potential here for the Chiefs. So not the worst case scenario here for Elevate, but that said, one of their top performing players on the map was taken off the board in Onigiri. Chiefs now looking to try and take some map control, as Elevate look to contest.
But this is fine for the Chiefs. Final round of the half. Already had multiple rounds where they've been slow in their approach, in their attack, and that's okay for them. If anything, they'd probably rather that, because they've been executing better than Elevate in the final few moments usually. Last round probably less so. That was because of Elevate, though, more than anything. And that's what Elevate are going to have to do again here. Angry X playing in security, and similar to the last round, might be able to find a kill. But the Gemini there is going to really make that difficult for him now, because he's no longer going to be playing that surprise. God Legion knows he's inside of security. As DCH did find a kill, advantage Elevate with a minute 10 on the clock.
Really well timed there from Angry X. Manages to avoid the frag grenade, and now Elevate have the man advantage. Keep in mind, this is a kitchen defense, so this fight on the other side of the map is not really what the Chiefs want to be going for. They'll be looking to try and clear the site and maybe hold off against the retake. Sapper on Cool Vibes. Chiefs just have absolutely no idea he's there. They tried to deploy track stingers, keeping in mind that he could rotate, but it didn't matter. He was already there, and in the 2v4, Elevate should hold on.
Oh, man, Elevate have returned. And I'm just going to say it here, although it might hold out a little bit longer. God Legion just unable to finish off his shots. Does have Digital for a bit of help. He's able to finish off DCH, but in the blink of an eye, they both die immediately. That's the first half. It's 2-4. And I'm going to say it, guys. It's almost... it is identical to 7th Heaven QC. 7th Heaven out to a 4-0 start. Looking good. QC, 2 rounds in a row. Momentum into the second half. Chiefs, 4 in a row. Elevate 2 in a row. Momentum going into the second half. I mean, it is literally like for like. The question will be, now that Chiefs go on to the defense, can they halt the momentum of Elevate? Just stall things a bit. I mean, obviously you win a round, you're up 5-2, and suddenly the pressure's right back on Elevate. But if Elevate win this 7th round, it's 3-4. It's a close game, and then it is up for grabs for both teams.
So your analysis boils down to superstition. Is that what you're going with? We're just putting a line through the Chiefs?
It boils down to straight facts.
Straight facts? No caps? No caps out here, Xenox?
No caps, straight facts here.
All right.
Look, I feel like it's deja vu.
It is a bit. Both Thai teams as well, so...
Oh, really? Where did you find that information from?
Don't know. Little birdie told me. But no, yeah. It's been pretty wild, and just when you think a team is down and out, like Elevate on this occasion and like Q confirmed in the last game, they managed to just sneak a couple of rounds. Then they're huge rounds at that.
Well, I don't think they were able to sneak a few rounds. I think they started to perform to the level that we expect from Elevate, in the same way that we saw Q Confirm begin to perform to the level we expected from them. So, you know, that's again even more parallels there. They didn't just win these rounds, you know, haphazardly. No, they won those rounds convincingly. And that's now, Chiefs have just now had a couple of punches back. So it's like, okay, we got to respect them here. We're on the defense. We're going up against Elevate. It was foot on the throat time at 4-0. Now it's like, okay, back into respect mode. And this is basically an even game, even though it's 4-2.
The first of the attacking drones taken down there by Vast. That would imply that Elevate have some nice pre-placed drones ready and waiting inside of the map, or they are preserving them for later on when they try to take map control. Both are getting aggressive towards the front door. We saw God Legion attempt a pretty sneaky spawn peek as well, but neither really working out. The Finker has been made available here by the Chiefs, and Onigiri will jump on that opportunity. Elevate love the Finker, and he's already bringing it into the fray. The spear in hand as well. Such a strong primary gun. That first boost doesn't really yield a result, but the Chiefs are starting to feel the pressure a little bit. It doesn't take long on Coastline to start feeling pressure.
Gemini. Oh, I mean, look, it almost feels like they're getting strangled around the sites, and Elevate, without even really firing a shot, already putting the pressure on it instead. Both teams have played this very differently to the last Coastline that we saw, where it was very chaotic and very much just a gunfight basically every second of the entire map. Minute 20 left, and again, it's a 5v5 without really any engagements. The closest thing we've had was that Gemini. But that's a credit to both teams. The Sapper basically has a free kill here at lobby. I mean, don't sense he's going to be able to get away from the desk.
You wouldn't think so, but he doesn't have a nade left, which could make it tough. That said, it's a 3v5, and that play behind the desk is dropped, I believe. I mean, I looked down for a second and looked back up, and I'm going to assume that that is the case. But either way, Digital gets time. There's a player at Vars that he needs to be careful of. To his close left now, needs to swing, needs to go now. He does. It's a little bit too late, but it is an eventual trade. It's a 1v5.
Oh, wow.
He's not going to win that on a Giri to clean it up for Elevate.
Yeah, and now it's 3-4, and now the pressure's on the Chiefs, right? Like, even though they're up around, the pressure's on the Chiefs here, because Elevate have won 3 in a row. They've brought back the level of siege that we expect from them. The first couple of rounds, I mean, whether you want to say it was all Chiefs or Elevate weren't bringing it, I think you can say it was a combo of both. We can agree with that. Chiefs were looking amazing. Elevate a little bit, you know, a bit shaky. But now Elevate have, you know, gone into the strat book and picked out some form, and they're playing really well over the last 3 rounds, and the Chiefs have just dropped off that little bit. And that's okay, because we know what their best is capable of. It's just about bringing that. We head over to Hooker and Billiards, and the Chiefs need to stop this momentum. Otherwise, the same thing's going to happen to them as to what happened to 7th Heaven.
Well, it wouldn't be APAC Siege without some spicy operator picks. I mean, we did see the Finker in the last round. We'll also see Dockerby brought by Elevate, but also on the defense, Visho Guy is sticking the cap can. Now, that's a pick you don't see all that often, but those traps can be really, really effective, particularly on maps like Coastline, where you're looking to quickly take map control. There's a lot of action going down. You may not necessarily think consciously to check for traps, or you may not be able to because you're under so much pressure. And I'm liking this adaptation. The gun as well, the primary weapon for Capcan, is also just incredibly good by itself. Chuck an angled grip on that and you'll be good for the round. So keen to see how Elevate do in clearing out those traps. No IQ has been brought to the table, so they'll be really reliant on their communication, or as I said earlier, physically head checking every doorway and every window, which can get incredibly tedious.
Or you could just get the head of Digital literally within 5 seconds.
Was that on this boost, or was that the double window? If that was on the boost towards front door, that's nutty. If it was double window, then ditch. Come on. It was double window. Yeah, I can see the little icon thing. Yeah, come on.
Not a good start there for the Chiefs, though. I mean, to lose a player that early on into the round, off the back of what is all the momentum to Elevate, and remembering Chiefs used their attack timeout after their 4-0 start. So they don't have a timeout to stall things here. They need to do it themselves in the game, and they need someone to help Worthy, because he's 12-3-4. Everyone else is not playing bad by any means, but they need to spread the load a little bit, because if Worthy goes down, suddenly the Chiefs' entire offense goes down.
Aggressive position here from God Legion on the chassis. Onigiri almost falls. Angry X doesn't, though. The run out there from Fisho, maybe a little bit ill-advised, was shut down. And Elevate with the man advantage. It's a 4v3. And with that boost, Onigiri can bring himself up a little bit, but Gold Legion gets aggressive, doesn't quite find that pick. Fortunately, though, Worthy elsewhere down below did find his, evening it out. It's a 3-on-3, a minute 30 into the round.
And just a little bit messy here in the last, I don't know, 30 seconds or so from both teams, really. Worthy has now been taken off the board. He's gone. DCH, big pick. Again, an advantage here for Elevate with a minute 15 seconds on the clock. This is a little bit more like what we saw from 7th Heaven and QC, and this probably is going to favor Elevate. Chiefs are just losing players left, right, and center. It's only Gold Legion and Vast remaining. APU, Onigiri, and DCH to make this 4 rounds in a row. Tie it up 4-4. Again, no timeouts for either team available. Both have used them already. So there's nothing artificial that the Chiefs can do to stop this momentum other than just winning a round or 2. 40 seconds on the clock.
I almost thought my headset was broken. Just dead silence there for the last 20 seconds. Not much happening. Players creeping around, trying to take ground, trying to find their into this round. Critically, though, Elevate, they need to bring the initiative to the table. They rotate over towards Aqua. The kit is in the hand of Napier, though. He's the furthest away from the balcony. It's going to take Elevate forever to get into position, and the Chiefs should be able to hold out.
They almost need the other two to now start to push in and try and find the kills on the Vast and Godly. There's only 10 seconds left, right? This is just going to come down to a time thing. And yeah, Napier just runs straight for sight. He's dead immediately. Oh, wait, what? What? Why are Chiefs peeking there? Why are they fighting? There's like 5 seconds left. Just hold the right angles. He swings and he gets punished. Did they panic in the final dying moments of that round? Elevate have somehow won it when maybe for a second there, as soon as Napier dies, guys, I'm thinking Chiefs win that round.
It's tricky, right? At some stage there, the Chiefs do have to swing, but they're going to be more favored if they force the plant to go down. That way, at least it's a 2v1 on the swing, and if it goes into red time, then the planter has to stick, and essentially you win that out based on that one singular gunfight. But instead, the Chiefs jumped the gun a little bit there. Elevate had their guns up, ready and waiting, found those picks. They were swings. They're hard shots to hit, but Elevate still managed to do it. It was incredibly close at the end of that round, and honestly, I think the Chiefs will be pretty upset with how that one has concluded. They did so much good work. The mistake of Napier, arguably having the diffuser there at the end, was a little bit costly. You probably would have wanted that player going on towards the double window, not having to transport it all the way across, but nonetheless, Elevate made it work.
Yeah, and Elevate have looked good now in the last couple of rounds, and suddenly, what a difference just 4 rounds makes to the thought process. Those first 4 rounds, Elevate did not look their best. And we put it to them during that tactical timeout that they needed to turn it around. That they needed to get back to stage champion Elevate. And they've done that. And that's why I was saying you don't count them out, because we know what they're capable of, right? And Elevate deserve that respect to not be like, oh, it's 4-0, the sky is falling, Chiefs are amazing. Like, Elevate always had it in their arsenal to get back into this. And they've done that. Now it's about finishing the job that they've started here, right? You've done your 4 in a row. Got to continue that, and then really puts the pressure onto the Chiefs. Because if Chiefs get one back here, suddenly it's 5-4. Suddenly the momentum has halted, and suddenly they're only 1 round away from match point. Things change very quickly here into the 9th round.
Vast bringing the Oryx in this round, so we may well see the defense get quite aggressive. Try and rotate around the map, create additional lines of sight, and pop up through hatches to say hello to the attack. Vast holding a position akin to what Onigiri was holding earlier in this matchup, over towards Billiards. As Digital is feeding him information from below. Again, no IQ from the attack, so Digital should be safe, and Vast is just getting information fed to him left, right, and center as he tries to hold above.
And this is what the Chiefs need to do now. Be aggressive, find picks. Use that Heat Seeker to, find some avenue forward where you can get the opening pick. You can have that advantage. 5 versus 4 with a minute left. And then play off of that. Hold these positions. Make it difficult. Squeeze, elevate. Make it hard for them to push onto site. Because they're down a player. They can't trade. Instead, it's been mostly elevate, for the most part, when they've needed it the most. I mean, in saying that, a lot of the opening picks in the opening half and even in this half haven't always been converted. C4 from Digital, just short. Minute 10, only 1 Nitrocell left, and it is pre-placed somewhere. I didn't quite see. Oh, there, it's right in front of me.
Bathroom. Yeah, conscious decision made by the Chiefs to get it back. Oh.
What?
Oh, what? Fish? I mean, nice shot, but that's not really the man you should be targeting. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, they're now at the man disadvantage, and as I was going to say, the Chiefs forfeited control above, allowing the likes of Angry X with the Skeleton Key to get a lot of work done. Now, Fisho's under the pump, but he delivers. That's his 2nd kill in the round, the first onto Elevate, and now it leaves it in a 4v4. As Elevate consider, I think, a service plant. The smoke's come out, but they haven't really pressured side as much as I would have liked.
They fell off it, though. It's almost like they're taking out the retakers. Chiefs positioned almost off-site in a way, and Elevate have just taken out those players. The only players left were the 2 on-site. Everyone else is dead now. 2 versus 4, but we've been in this scenario before, on this very site, and Chiefs won out last time they were on the attack. This time they're on the defense. 7 seconds left. Napier with that diffuser. Get close to sight. Stop Digital. Nice. Swings in through service. Napier gets the kill this time. Last time he was on the other end of it, but now he dishes that out. 5 in a row for Elevate. As not only have they brought this back, but now they've got the lead.
little bit close for comfort there at the end of that round, and you don't often see Fisher Guy lose an engagement with the shotgun at that sort of range, at that sort of angle, but he was pinched out alongside the Yana, making life really, really difficult, and Elevate managed to just sneak in the round perfectly. Now, I'd love to see what happened to Fisher Guy and how he took off Worthy's head, but well, it is what it is, and unfortunately, Elevate with too much pressure, especially vertically, were able to flush out those defenders, and yes, again, they left it quite tight, but they did trade out efficiently.
Yeah, and you either get the kill there, or if he's not in that position, you get the service plant. So something's going to happen, and I think Elevate sort of sensed for that. They realized that. They had the numbers, they had the information, so basically it was like, hey, Napier, hit your shots, otherwise we lose this game. Because if he doesn't hit that shot, I didn't quite catch if there was someone behind him.
Yeah, they had the Yana.
They did have the Yana, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's like, what, 3 seconds left
It was
as
a bit
he
tight.
pushes in?
Yeah.
So I think that's the one part of Elevate's game that even in these 5 rounds that they've been winning, guys, the time management. You know, we saw it in the prior round. While they won it, it almost cost them when Napier did die with the diffuser with like, 8 seconds left.
Razor-thin margins in this one, and the scoreline suggests that, if you are just tuning in, round 10 between the Chiefs and Elevate. Both of these teams looking for their first dub in Stage 2 of APAC South. Wins can be hard to come by in APAC, where things are unpredictable and difficult to read. And this one really could lean either way. We're still waiting to see which team can come out on top. If Elevate manage to win this round, however, they do claim match point. And in doing so, will steal at least 1 point away from the Chiefs.
Yeah, and the last round, again, was another round where, the opening pick didn't convert into a round win. Minus, of course, the team kill. But it's not the be-and-all, and unfortunately for the Chiefs, they can't just sort of rely on getting that opening pick and then falling off. They need to be able to capitalize and convert on it a bit better. 5 versus 5, 2 minutes on the clock, round 10. It's been a doozy of a night. It's just, I can't believe we're in this position again. Feels like we never left. I'm going to be completely honest. Now, if we do actually think back to the 7th Heaven QC, since we're following the same script, I think it was at the 10th round that we saw 7th Heaven make it 5-5.
Sounds right.
And then, obviously, Q confirmed the last 2. So, hey, Chiefs are going to win this. Elevate's going to win the next 2. I've already spoiled it.
Wow. Well, the script has been leaked, guys. You can stop watching now. Close the stream. No, just kidding. Stay in the stream. Hope you guys are enjoying another banging night of Siege. Halfway into this round, and not a whole lot has gone down in the frag department, but Elevate have established control on the eastern side of the map. Gemini will be sent down long, and that is, of course, Sapper, and he'll be calling this out pretty clear to the rest of his team. The Chiefs on the defense have elected to forfeit this position, and with a minute to go, Elevate can apply the heat down below. Onigiri needs to win this fight. He needs to. He does. It was close, but he survives. It's a nice trade with the Nitro from Worthy, and that means the Finker's no longer in play.
And there's only 50 seconds remaining on the clock. 4 versus 4. Yet again, it's going to be another close one between these two teams late into the round. Who's going to be able to pull out and complete the round? Chiefs make it 5-5. Elevate going to get match point.
30 seconds left. Sapper, inside of service, might catch a player off guard. It's Digital, who doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. The Chiefs at the man disadvantage, but the wall in office hasn't been open. No hard breach available here for the attack, and this could make things tricky. Maybe God Legion and Worthy can hold on.
There's only 15 seconds left, though. Elevate's just going to go in, find these kills. They do that. Napier rips off the head of God Legion. It's going to be match point for stage champions unless Worthy has another monstrous moment left in him. If he can deny the plant, another headshot onto Angry X. I mean, it makes it a 1 versus 2, and he's got 40 seconds, but very little health, and denied by Napier from pulling off the miraculous. And suddenly, Elevate have now won 6 rounds in a row, guys. They have match point. What a turnaround from this team of champions. They are a champion team, but the players themselves are all champions as well. It's just been incredible to watch from Elevate.
Yeah, they've really started to put on a little bit of a clinic, particularly the last couple of rounds. They're finding picks that they really shouldn't be but they're managing to find them nonetheless, and you can't fault them on that. Again, it's another case of Elevate capitalizing upon some of the mistakes or potential oversights from the Chiefs, right? You had Digital shot in the back of the head. You had the post plant, or the plant situation rather, not really go the way of the Chiefs. They were locked down heavily by Elevate, and again, you just cannot fault the attack for putting up such a good fight, but they still need to convert. It's all well and good for them to win this map in overtime, but they critically must win this match in this round or the next. They want the full 3 points, and that is because they lost to the Knights last Playday. Now, if the league plays out as expected, I mean, it probably won't, let's be honest, but if it plays out as expected, we will see Elevate and the Knights right at the tippy top fighting for that auto-qual to the Major. Now, Elevate has already lost the head-to-head to the Knights. So even if the Knights lose another match in this season, well, the Knights still win that head-to-head. So Elevate just need to put their best foot forward and hope that the Knights falter on more than one occasion and go from there. But again, just trying to emphasize how important it is for Elevate to close this match out in this round or the next.
Yeah, and to also emphasize how big of a comeback this is from Elevate. Chiefs are no pushover, and boy, they were hot in the first 4 rounds. Like, they were literally riding the coattails of Worthy and all those big plays. They still are. I mean, he's 16-3-7, and it's almost a little bit disappointing for Worthy after putting out such a massive game individually that they're not going to be able to get the win here. Now, I don't want to discount them yet, but it is match point, and Elevate have won 6 in a row. It's hard to see them not winning it from here. It is feasible, and for the Chiefs, this is where, you know, if they're going to have the credentials as a top 4 team like they were in Stage 1, you need to be able to come back from these sort of situations, put your head down, don't let it affect you. Yeah, you've lost 6 rounds in a row, but now you still have an opportunity to turn it around. Although, Onigiri will get the first pick on the Fisher guy, and God Legion goes down too. It's just, unfortunately for the Chiefs, just falling apart round by round here. They've just been watching the Elevate show, and they've got front row seats.
Worthy has been a star, though. How many can he find here? Does he find both? No, gets shut down. Unfortunate there for the Chiefs. It's now a 2v4. Had that have gone the other way, who knows what could have happened. God Legion again still down inside of right bar. Vast with an angle from above. Might be able to find one with the Elder.
Nice
does.
angle.
That is a nice angle, and if converts the pick. That said, Digital is low. And Elevate have the clear advantage at the moment still. They, of course, need to work on their positions a little bit. It is a hookah defense, but they have plenty of time to rotate. They have over a minute. Elevate just need to be careful not to use too much time, however.
Yeah, and Digital's low on health as well. I mean, Elevate, Napew's on like, what, half, but Sapper, Onigiri, they've got no more adrenal surges available. Still, of course, got the Gemini at any time. Sapper's going to be able to take out Vast and Digital. How many times has he been in this scenario? Unfortunately, though, how many times has that happened as well, where you can't clutch out? GG's. 7 in a row. That's like a reverse gentleman's sweep, because they lost the first 4 rounds, and then they just swept them after that and said, nope, that's enough from you guys. Elevate, the stage champions, they have arrived for APAC South Stage 2.
Really strong performance there from Elevate, and this is their first win of Stage 2 as they start to, I guess, mount this mini comeback. And I can't believe we're already saying that in Playday number 2, but again, it really is, considering the stakes that are on this regular season. But they can back themselves in now, some nice confidence building for them. And sure, the first half was a little bit rough, but as you mentioned, 7 straight. They just did not put a foot wrong after those first 4 rounds.
It's crazy. Really impressive performance from Elevate. All things considered, their attack was flawless in the end, you know. And you look at it, this was basically the same as the last match, guys, except this was all about the attack, whereas 7th Heaven and QC was all about the defense. So I think that really highlights that it just really comes down to sometimes the teams that are playing within the map itself, rather than it being just the map. Sometimes we say, oh, you know, you look Coastline, Coastline's defender-sided, or Coastline's attacker-sided. Sometimes it just comes down to the teams. 7th Heaven and QC, strong defenses, little poor on the attack. Chiefs and Elevate, their attacks were flawless, but defense was a little bit shaky. And in the end, the only difference was the fact that Elevate was able to win 2 defensive rounds, Chiefs none. So that right there is the difference. Big result for Elevate, big comeback. Chiefs looked so good in those first 4 rounds, guys, but ultimately they couldn't do much more after that. And we are going to throw it over to the desk where they can try and break down what's just happened in Deja Vu Land.
Deja Vu Land, it is indeed, Dev. I'm still kind of baffled, thought it was all the Chiefs' momentum, but so fast the tables turned.
Yeah, it's not every day that you get to see 7 rounds won in a row, especially when it is not a 7-0. It was just completely all Chiefs, and then there was Elevate took attack pause. Chiefs also took attack pause, so it was like a double tack pause, which, mind you, also meant that Chiefs couldn't take it later, which I'm sure they might have wanted to. And then on the back of that break, it's like Elevator like, well, we just got ace. We've just had a whole 2 minutes to talk about this. Let's just win 7 rounds in a row. And man, if only it were that easy. I'm excited to talk to Onigiri in a minute because he must be so ecstatic after that victory.
He's always buzzing. He's always got a vibe about him that just, it opens us up for endless possibilities. Panda, I mean, not very often do we see such a dominant comeback like that. Elevate, they look like their former selves now.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it coming into this. Chiefs are a team that ride on momentum. If they can pick up a few rounds, they're going to absolutely thrive. And then it comes to round 4, Elevate throw out the ankle, and Chiefs just stumble, trip, and it was all over from there. As soon as Elevate regained control, it was their map, and that's exactly how the rest of the map played out.
Dev, there were moments. There were moments for Chiefs to come back into this. There were some close rounds. You know, I'm thinking about that 2v2 up in Hookah. I'm thinking about, you know, that service entrance where Fisho's so close. It feels like there was an open board for them to really play into, and unfortunately they haven't been able to do so. But one person in particular that we want to hear from that has been able to turn the tables is, of course, our good friend Onigiri. Welcome in. Congratulations on a huge comeback. You look like your former selves. Let me ask you, what changed, Onigiri?
Like they Chiefs really got us at the defending side, but after Nephew Clash, we have our momentum back, and that's what pushed us and make us come back 7 rounds in a row.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you know, what it's like, because you lost 4 rounds in a row, like you said, and then you took your tactical timeout, and Chiefs also took a tactical timeout. So you had a lot of time to talk there, and then you completely flipped the switch. What kinds of things did you actually change to I guess, flip that momentum?
It's our hope, and our CEO is counting on us, and we cannot let him disappointed. That's why we have our momentum.
Now, Onigiri, we talked to, you know, Q Confirm in the first matchup of the day. They got taken to Coastline. They weren't expecting it. Was it the same case for you guys? Did you expect to be taken to Coastline? And if so, were you that? I mean, look, you went down 4. Obviously, there was some preparation that came that allowed you to bring it back. What was that?
We cracked down their plan, and we analyzed how they play, and and they play like how we analyze them, and that's how we get our attack so good.
Interesting. That's a really good look at how that kind of played out. Onigiri, do you have any final thoughts before we let you go?
I have to thank you for our support, and I won't let you guys down, and we will keep winning along the way.
We hope so, Onigiri. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Sir, it never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to. I honestly feel like royalty every time Onigiri is talking. Dev, you know, let's look at this from a Chiefs perspective. 0-2, not the way that we'd expected them to start in Stage 2, considering what we'd seen from them earlier in the year.
Yeah, certainly, especially the nature of the 2 losses from Chiefs, I think, is the most alarming part. You know, the first Playday was almost a 7-0 against them, ended a 7-1, and this, you know, could well have been a 7-0. You forget those 4 rounds, and yeah, well, Elevate did win 7 rounds in a row, and Chiefs looked completely lost. They're definitely going to be kicking themselves. Of course, you know, they will be their own biggest critic, and they're really going to have to put some work in with, you know, War Turtle and Hell to really figure out what has been going wrong. Especially like you said, you know, 3rd place in APAC South Stage 1 was, I think, punching above their weight.
Yeah.
And you know, even taking the OCN Championship away from Knights, I think, was also punching above their weight. So Chiefs are a team that have hit quite significant peaks in stage 1, and coming into stage 2, unfortunately, it just really has not been the case.
No, it hasn't. And, you know, we're going to have to wait another full week to see whether they can get back on that horse and dust off the saddle. But until then, we're going to go to a short break, a quick changing of the guard, and we'll be back for another third installment of tonight's matches. We'll be back in a jiffy.